All right, I started recording and over to you.
Thank you, Suchi. Hello, everyone. Okay, let's see how it goes. Share the screen. Ta-da, ta-da. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Excellent. And you can hear me fine, right?
Correct.
All right, my session is quite short, but just raising the awareness of code sprint that's happening as a part of DrupalSouth. The communication that's happening around, you might see that 11th of March popping up here and there, but not all the time. So I put my session together just to invite more people to participate in a sprint and also to just raise awareness and let you know what you're actually expecting if you've never been to a code sprint, regardless if it's a code contribution event for Drupal or something else. So as you know, DrupalSouth is coming to Melbourne, 12th and 13th of March 2025. It's going to be in Acme, but the code sprint was actually moved towards the Queen Victoria markets, and it's a day before 11th of March. I would advise, if you can, to visit Sprint and help build the next Drupal version. That's what we basically do during the sprint. So first of all, I would like to welcome you. Presenting from Brisbane and traditional custodians of this land and Turrbal Jagera people. So I'd like to welcome everyone to my session. I am on a lot of socials and Git networks as Vladimir AUS, including Drupal. I've been contributing to Drupal for more than 15 years. And yeah, you can find me on Drupal.org and Drupal Slack and GitHub and GitLab if you want to get in contact. Fiona did a great, put together a great blog post about how to prepare for contribution day, and it has a mix of technical and non-technical stuff on how to prepare, what to get, how to do it. I'm not going to go in depth. I just took bits and pieces of it just to let you know what the contribution sprint is. But as you can see from this picture, is there's a bunch of people sitting in front of the computers usually, and we're trying to solve different things or make sure some things are moving along, and we actually helping to move them along. So as I mentioned before, the contribution sprint is part of the DrupalSouth conference, and it's on Tuesday, 11th of March. It starts at 9 a.m. and it goes to 3 p.m. It's a multicultural hub on Elizabeth Street, opposite Queen Victoria Markets. And it's the venue is catering for more than 100 people. There are 2 rooms and kitchen. So at the moment, there is about 40 plus registered. So I'd like to see more people registered as well. And if you can promote, please do. Please let other people know that the event is happening, especially if they're interested in volunteering or interested in contributing.
Vladimir, Darren, it's
Yep.
the first dot point. I was gonna. Is it? In my understanding, the sprints are usually free for anyone. Is it free if non conference goers want to attend?
It's a good question. I'm still trying to find the answer to this one. I asked it a couple of days ago and still waiting for 100% confirmation. I think it will be, and we will put the registration form. There is some formal stuff that needs to happen. At the moment, you can only register by purchasing the ticket. And in the Fiona's post, that is free for everyone. I think venue will cater for everyone to register, so we should be able to cater. If you want to hear from anyone, the contact details of me and Kim on the last slide, message us if you are not visiting conference and want to participate in Code Sprint. I'm sure there would be there would be space to actually attend.
Yeah.
At the moment, I just don't have something to give you and give you full on summed up because I asked the same question a couple of days ago.
Can I just add to that, Vladimir? The challenge is that we, as the Drupal South committee, we cater that event. So we need to kind of know numbers, and as you know, as you probably know, when we run the conferences, we rely on sort of ticket sales and sponsors to balance the budget. But things are looking pretty positive at the moment. So short answer is at the moment it's not free. Longer answer is that hopefully by the end of the week we'll be able to say it is free.
Yeah. I was asking, I mean, I've already said yes when I booked my ticket, but
Perfecto.
yeah, there's more for other people in
Yeah.
case.
I'm buying donuts for anyone who turns up.
Thanks, Julia. Thanks, Brad. Yeah, so you can actually participate in person or virtually. You should join Drupal Slack and the room called DrupalSouth Code Sprint. If you don't know how to join the Slack and what DrupalSouth Slack is, never used a Slack before, the instructions are in the blog post. I will be sharing it in the end of the talk as well. But this is basically a chat software we use to communicate. And closer to the day, there would be details on a video conference that would be, I'm not sure if it will be a live stream, but there would be people there all day, volunteers helping out. Now, who can contribute to Drupal? Because it sounds like a very technical task. Well, first of all, anyone can contribute to Drupal because we have a mix of technical and non-technical tasks. Also, Drupal core by itself has a task that labeled good for first-timers. Usually they're not being touched by seasonal contributors because it's a good introduction to the whole framework and the contribution. Similar thing happening everywhere, including things like WordPress. I participated in WordPress contribution sprint, and it's very similar kind of thing. So it's not just unique to Drupal. As I mentioned, there is a list of technical and non-technical tasks. You don't have to know how to code in order to improve stuff in. And there is different rooms specifically targeting either specific topic you want to contribute to or specific area like documentation, code, or just pure testing. And we're also looking for mentors and volunteers. So contact him on Slack or through email that you can see on your screen. We are looking for experienced Drupal contributors who contributed to Drupal before and participated in sprints. And if you know the issue queue and how to teach others to use issue queue, create a GitHub merge request, please contact Kim. They are putting the team together. So make sure that everyone kind of spreads throughout the day and can help online and face-to-face. Now, I will be putting 3 tutorials together starting next Monday. The first one is contributing to Drupal documentation. This tutorial does not require any technical knowledge at all. I will be going through how to start Drupal, how to find the documentation, and how to check if documentation fits what's currently happening in Drupal, and if not, what to do. So then a week later, I will be talking a bit more technical sessions called contributing to Drupal modules. Again, not necessarily super technical session, but it will introduce concepts like merge request and module issue queue and what to look for in the module. And a week later, on 3rd of March, I will be talking, building on top of what I would be talking about, contributing to Drupal module, contributing to Drupal core. I put it last, Drupal core, because probably you need to understand basic concepts before start contributing to Drupal core directly, but they kind of, each session would fit into the other session. And hopefully you will have hands-on guide so you can actually follow through. And by the end of this, each tutorial, you should be able to say, okay, I know how to contribute to documentation. I know how to contribute to module and core as well. So again, I'm sharing the link to Fiona's post. So it's a previous next website, who is the main sponsor of the contribution sprint. Big cheers to them. They've been doing it for years. And I hope you will join us on 11th of March. It's between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. at the Multicultural Hub. If you have any questions, feel free to ping me. My email and Slack is on the screen, or Kim as well, who is actually running the sprint on the day. I will be coming around lunchtime from Brisbane, so I will skip the morning session, but I will be there in the afternoon. Do we have any questions?
I'm asking for the benefit of other people. If you've already booked your ticket, but you didn't say you were going to the sprint, how do you update your status? Can you just do that from the website already, or?
If you click on human ticks, I'm not sure there's an option to update. You should see if you said yes or no. If you said no, contact me or him, and we'll pass it to we'll update the registration for the.
Thanks a
Anyone
lot.
else?
Here, anybody else? Has any questions? Thank you. All right, now over to Kobus. Kobus is going to present a module that he's created. The module's name is Content Insight Reports. Kobus, are you ready for it?
Yes, I am. Going to share my screen. Tell me if you can see it.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Awesome. Okay, so the module I'm going to demonstrate today is the Content Insight Report. It's turning data into actual reports. So in the session, I will talk about myself. There's a user story, the solution, and then a showcase. And lastly, questions if you've got any questions. So first of all, about me. 11 years and 9 months in Drupal.org. Contributed to a few projects, mostly projects that's not on Drupal.org the last 8 years or so, but starting to contribute a bit more. Born in South Africa, moved to Australia last year. Same month. Good. Next up is my user story. So if any website owner or a manager comes up to you and it's like, I want a website. This time I want it in Drupal.cms. What do I need? So you've got a developer, you've got a content loader, you've got a tester, and you hit this website full on. As you know, Drupal CMS, easy to manage. So you've got your content types, you've got the content loader uploading the content for you, and then you've got your test to make sure everything is working end to end. By saying this is, I've got a site, it's up and running. It's running for the last year. What happens in the life cycle? The owner or the manager is like, I want more content types. Let's create more content types. Let's create more content. Let's create more content. At the end of the day, you've got a huge site. Not always the case, but sometimes you've got a huge site with a lot of content, and you get your manager asking you, what's on my site? And you're like, okay, as a developer, let's quickly go to the content section and let's see if I can figure out what's on the site. Now, this is where this report will come into play. The owner comes up and asks a lot of questions. What's on my site? What content types do we have? Also asking the question around, what are we doing on the site? What workflows do we have? Where is my content in? What type of workflow is it in? And that's the main questions around what's on the site. Very nervous owner or manager that you see there. So the solution is the module that I created. And this module, just very high level, on the left-hand side is the first report. It gives you a high-level summary, a percentage based on published and unpublished of content. And then on the right-hand side, it's the monthly insights and workflow that you will see. As you will see, there is a link in the bottom there. That's where you can find it on Drupal.org. There's also a QR code if you want to scan it as well. So with this report, I'm going to go a bit more in depth that it's not just a report. There's a lot of configuration behind this as well. So I want to explain a bit more. So on the configuration, you will see there is three reports on the left-hand side. So you've got your content summary, your content insights, and then also your moderated workflow report. So you can hide them and show them accordingly. The next one is the sorting by data. How do you like to sort your data, or the way it's presented? Is it a total of percentage from high to low or low to high? Also based on content type name, if you don't want to use the percentage, but also you can use the machine name as well. So there's options for you to sort your report accordingly. Then what's nice about the total percentage, you can specify if it's based on all the nodes that's currently in your system. So for example, 8 nodes of the full 10, this will give you your percentage, or not your percentage, will give you your stats, and then your percentage will be the 8 out of the total published nodes or unpublished nodes. Then you will see there is a number of months. So currently on this display, I'm only showing the 6 months. So what happened to my site in the last 6 months? How much content was updated? How much content was created in this last 6 months? I prefer to have 12 months. You can actually see from 12 months, from today, 12 months back, what actually happened. And also you can sort of order by. So the latest month in first, or you can have it at the last. The one I like is empty results. So if you've got content types that are empty and you don't want to show that in your report, you can always hide them. I prefer to see them because it makes you visualize on, I'm not using this. Why am I not using it? Bottom of the report, you will see there's a create date and the user that created it. This is just for a timestamp, especially for printing the report. So you will see every section does have a printing functionality where you can actually print it and showcase that in your monthly meeting to say, last month we had this month we had this. So just flexibility of saving a result of a point in time. Next up is, because of this module, I thought of where else can I use this module in? And the first module that came up was groups. So in groups, you can set up your group to be, for example, Department of Transport and the organization, and you can upload your content in the specific that group. Now, there's a link in the bottom there if you want to go brainstorm about groups a bit more. But this content is related to a specific group only and not the global report as the previous one. So a bit more flexibility to report, same functionality, same configurations apply to this report as well. Now, what's next for this module is to get it approved. It's already been submitted to the security advisory coverage. It's currently on the last step there, I think. So once that's approved, then looking forward to have this on all of your websites. Now, as you can see in the bottom, if you want to contribute or you want to help me assist on this one, or you have a sub-module that you want to contribute to this module, please just submit it or get in contact with me accordingly. Lastly, I'm going to do some showcase, and then lastly, it's going to be questions after that. So on the site, you will see I've got a nice Drupal CMS website up and running. Very nice functionality, easy to upload content, easy to update content as well. Now this report, firstly, I'm going to show you the configuration. It will sit under content authorization and then content settings. So this is what I spoke about. You can hide and show your reports accordingly. If you don't want to see the moderation or you don't use moderation, you can just turn that off. I think by default it is no. There's the content insights. This is where you can hide and show your create date, your percentage, which one you want to select. It gives a description of what are you doing with the drop down. For this example, I chose 12 months. And then for the sorting of the insights, it is depending on what you want to sort it by. And then it's also ascending or descending, displaying of the months, ascending or descending. The print function, the print icon, if you want to showcase that on your reports, sometimes you don't want to do that. And then lastly is show empty results. So preferably is defaults. You can also change this accordingly on your configuration. Next up is showing the report. If you go to your report section, you will see it will be in the bottom there. And this is the report. So currently on my system, I've got 38 nodes where 36 is published and 2 is unpublished. If you click on, for example, the 2 that's unpublished, it will take you to the normal content where it's filtered by the correct filter criteria. Then you will see there's the summary. Very nice. You can also, this is clickable. If you want to click on the 7 published, for example, new news items, it will take you to that news items, showcase it to you. Very quick, always going to this content page where you can actually go and see what's actually happening. As I mentioned, you will see there's a star on the percentages. This is just to clarify, it's all nodes, or is it just the published or unpublished nodes? And on the right-hand side, you've got your admin, the user. I'm currently logged in as admin, and the timestamp where what you're doing it, the report at. What I like about this report is actually the monthly insights, and I will explain a bit why. So monthly insights, if you've got content, so for a small site like this, it's probably you won't use it, but if you've got a site that has 20,000 content on your site, then this will make sense to you. So for example, if you had a RSS feed coming into your site and you executed last year, September, you will see this number will be high and the rest of the months will be low because that's normal content. And sometimes if you have for this month a high number, it will tell you, something's happening here. Why is it happening? Why is there so many updates? Why is there so many created on this month? And then you can start looking into that and getting value out of the report to see, I need to go investigate a bit more. For this site only, I've got only 3 moderation states. Okay, it's draft, published, and unpublished. Some sites have like 8 or 9 states where they go through certain sections for approval, second approval, third approval, all depending on your site. And this will actually tell you what's actually happening. If you've got a lot in the draft, for example, why is this? Why do my basic pages, why do I have a lot in the draft at that point in time? Why is it unpublished as well? And from that, you can actually learn where your data is at. Just want to show you the print functionality. If you click on the print, you can actually see your it's currently set as landscape. If you do a portrait, because you've got 12 months, you will see it will be cutting off. But if it's landscape, everything fits onto the report, and you can actually print this for your next meeting, management meeting, or whatever meeting you've got. You've got the physical statistics of what's happening on your site. And I think that's it from my side. I think I've demoed all the functionality, what the module is capable of, and also what's next for this module going forward. I don't have an example of the group one. I haven't installed groups on this one yet, but you can do that if you really want to test that on your group section as well. It will be exactly the same. The only difference is on top, you will have the group name that you specified, and the rest of it will be for the specific that group. So there's a filter on that. Any questions?
So Kobus, there is a question in the chat where Jana is asking, are you planning to export to CSV as well?
Yes, that's also a possibility. I'll put it on a radar. CSV as well. Also graphs, maybe changing this into a graph that can also work. Our first this is the initial draft, getting it just to show data and statistics. And the next one is to make it pretty and more flexibility on that.
All right. Tyler says, thank you, Kobus. Looks useful. And Carl is saying graphs over time would be real nice.
Sounds good.
Hey, Kobus, from my end, I can just summarize. I think that's great module. It will likely be quite useful especially for websites with a lot of content. But I've noticed that the configuration page has some sorting options and probably grouping options. I can't recall them all, but I think you might also improve it by moving some of these options to this page, if that makes sense. For example,
Yes.
you don't have to get back to configuration page to change the sorting or grouping by.
Sounds good. I did think about that one as well. So yeah.
Yeah, just a suggestion.
Good suggestion.
Yeah, otherwise, all good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jana has also put in a question. There is a module called Entity Count Analyzer. So Kobus, have you looked at that module? Why not extend or contribute to that one instead of creating a new one? That's a question.
I haven't checked that one specifically. I was checking more the content type and the normal reporting. Most of them, as you can, I can quickly put it into. You will see on my module I did show that this is the modules that I looked at, the similar modules. But if you look at them, most of them are just for one specific content type, order and descending. There's one that has a from and to date. I didn't do that. But most of them are really bare basic compared to what I've got on my site. I will definitely take notes of this one.
One thing I think might be a good inclusion, although I can't quite figure out the best way to expose the data, would be paragraph utilization, because I don't know how you guys build content, but we're fairly paragraph heavy, and knowing what a page is made up of can be very useful. And if you create paragraph types and they're not using any if it's a paragraph type that's barely ever getting used, then it potentially is an exercise you need to train the client so they understand how to use it, or what's the reason they're not using it. So maybe you can either go, oh, we don't need this anymore, or do you need training? It'd be a good way to sort of highlight that sort of case where they're not understanding how to use it potentially.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. Actually, it can represent a few cases when we've been looking for certain paragraphs and we couldn't find out if they've been used at all. So you have to jump to SQL, which not everyone can do, and not every hosting platform makes it easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the modules was actually a report like that, where it was just the bare basic. So yes, we always can extend this to have that functionality as well.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to know paragraph utilization based on content type as well, potentially. Like, this is where it gets potentially quite fine-grained and not fun to build, but would be quite useful for people who need the data. That looks really good. Good work, Kobus.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Kobus, question, right? So, yeah, you introduced this with, the manager having a whole barrage of questions around, the content on their site after, content's been loaded, huge amount of content into the site. Did it actually happen to you? And was this built with an actual site in mind, or was it more just a general pattern or problem that you've seen over your Drupal journey and just this came to life?
It's a problem that I've seen over time with my previous company as well in South Africa, where people just hit your site with a lot of content and there's no reporting out of that. On my previous current project that I'm working on, I did see there is a use for a report like this, and that's where the idea started. Like, okay, let's start doing it. Let's contribute, and that's where the idea started coming to light as such.
Great, thanks.
I think it's potentially useful to show some form of return on investment for the client as the developer as well. Like, hey, all your staff are actually using this, and well, if they are actually using it, hopefully, but yeah.
Kobus, there's a question from Amjad. He's asking, are the stats saved in an entity or live queries?
It's a live queries. So as you add content to your site and you reload the page, it will actually go and fetch it out of the database. What I've also checked is a huge amount of data. How's that been populated? And the report's actually very seamless, and it actually populates very quickly to see what's in your site.
And Julia has a question. Does the workflow expand? That is, if content is in draft, there'll be a line item for that, or archived content. So how does that work?
As soon as you add your new moderate state into your workflow, it will automatically populate the table accordingly. So it's very generic build that it can build on. You can use this on any site. Doesn't matter what type of moderate state you have, or if you're using 2 moderate states per content type, it will actually be flexible to understand that and also populate the data for you.
So, Kobus, it's pulling through whatever workflow you design on the site.
That is correct.
That's
yes.
pretty nifty. My only other comment is with your historical graph of content, if the count was clickable, so you could look at a collection of the older published content, that would be a useful feature, especially for reviewing old or redundant content easily, like to be able to click through and see what you published in March 2024 as a quick review. That would be kind of handy.
Yep. Agree to that.
That'd currently be a limitation of the content list, though. I don't think there's an easy way to filter by date ranges currently.
Hey, Julie, are you talking about like some government websites looking for functionality to find outdated content? What they
Correct.
decide to be outdated content as content that could potentially be published in 2020 and nobody knows where it is. So finding that content and potentially even click through to provide the list of that content, that would be quite handy actually.
It'd be amazing, right? Like that's the common problem that governments have, is that they've got all this crazy content and they've got they didn't even think of the review process, right, when they set up these sites.
Yep.
I'm not 100% sure this would be because if you look at your created 2 nodes in February, one of the 6 in December could be one of the ones from February, because it's just, sorry, not the created, but the updated. You could, the 4 in February could include, the 9 in January could include some of the 4 from February that were updated. So it's not you're looking, I think you'd be looking for stale content that hasn't been updated for a really long time in the report that you were talking about in the government context. But
yes, correct. But potentially you can design the interface to actually dig to find that content, potentially introducing additional filters. For example, we currently have 12 months inside. How about going past year or past 2 years and filtering out content just in those dates? And
I mean,
probably slightly different.
It wouldn't be that hard to add another section with last updated a long time ago, like last updated last year or something like that, just as an extra data point. So something that hasn't been updated for a long time. So
it could even be a configuration option. Let's say set 2023 as the time frame where content created beyond that date will be considered as outdated and needing review.
Can I please ask all of you, I mean, the ideas you're putting are great. Can we put them on the Drupal.org project as an issue, as a feature request? That way we do have, so this meetup, great discussion, yes, but we'll put a video and then it will be forgotten, I would say. So, but if you have a Drupal.org issue, then Kobus would have time to look at that, review that, etc., etc. I know it's extra hours for everybody, but
certainly, Suchi. How about sharing the meeting notes with us?
I will do that as well. And Jana has a question. She's asking, how's performance on large data sets? Would you recommend using it on production or just try it on stage, not to cache production?
Once the module is approved, certainly you can use it on production. I don't see an issue with that. What I have tested as well is that you can't access this report from the public side. So it's really, it's locked down, and it's also user permissions as well. So if you only want certain users to view this report, you can give that as well. Large data sets, caching, I don't see an issue with that. It's actually very fast with a huge data set. So I don't see any issues with that.
Yeah,
But
I think
if there is, please log a ticket and we'll investigate.
yeah, look, I think Kobus, I think that's all great that queries are fast, but I think what Jana was asking, if I'm not mistaken, is that how it would behave in live environment that is under heavy load. For example, you have production of site under stress, and someone goes to visit this report, and website potentially have 10,000 of pages. It could potentially crash the site or cause it to timeout. And that's why number of questions were raised in this meeting, how this is working. Is it live data, or is it maybe, I mean, so potentially, I didn't see the code, but potentially introducing the caching layer, and also potentially moving the data harvesting to be executed on cron run. It would be potentially a helpful feature to cope with these use cases I'm describing.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. We'll have a look into it.
All right. Any more questions? Thanks a lot, Kobus, for the presentation. It was really informative, and I do think that this is a good module. All right. Anybody else that has anything that you want to talk about or discuss, please feel free.
Can I just quickly remind people that the Community Recognition Awards have been extended to Friday night? So if you can think of anyone that you would like to nominate for, I think the categories are People's Choice, Rising Star, Hall of Fame, please get your entries in before Friday.
Thank you, Julia. All right, I think that's a wrap then. Thanks everybody for joining. I'll be putting the recording on YouTube pretty soon. Thanks all, and see you next week. Next month, sorry.
Thanks,
Bye.
Suchi.
See you later.